Hey, Cardinals fans, welcome back to the Redbird Rundown, your home for all things St. Louis Cardinals. I'm Andy, here today with Scott and Matt. No, Jonathan. And we would love if you would share our Spotify and Apple links with your friends. It really helps us reach out to the Cardinals community. They can be found on Facebook, Blue Sky, and Twitter. Today, we're going to be recapping the past few weeks in case you missed a few. We're going to be exploring just We Are the Gorm. If you're a Star Wars fan, if you're not, what that is referring to is Gorman, our love to hate topic here. It's just our lightning rod, if you will, of things to talk about. We're also going to discuss our bullpen usage, see if the shuttle is working for us. But speaking of shuttles, Matt, did you happen to take a shuttle in your recent trip to Alaska?
What a professional podcast segue that was. I was on one shuttle. One shuttle, one cruise ship, one rental car, and I think that might have been all the vehicles that I was on. I did take a shuttle into Sitka, Alaska. I'm gonna say this: Alaska is beautiful. It's just like one of those places. We weren't up in the main chunk of Alaska. We were in like the tail over by Canada, and it's just one of those places where like ocean and mountains meet. But it was like never sunny. So it was foggy. So you're like looking off into the distance and there's just these rolling mountains, hills. And you're like, I am in a Netflix kidnap movie. It's like the setting was so good. Man, I really loved it. Even though I don't always love being on the cruise ship. That's really the only way you can go do that trip. Wow, it's beautiful up there. It really is.
So did anybody in the family get sick, cruise ship sick? Like that's always like
Our youngest
either.
daughter did get cruise ship sick,
Mm.
which caused her after we were done there, we debarked in Seattle and drove down to Portland just to see that coast for a couple of days. And our youngest took an L in the hotel room one day, which means I was there too. But I just caught up on some reading and all that good kind of stuff.
Motion sickness for anybody in your family? Or
there were patches aplenty. Yes, affixed to behind of both ears. And then after I put mine on, I started looking around the ship and like everybody and their dogs got the motion sick patches on right behind their ears.
Scott, have
So
you ever found out if are you a motion sick kind of guy, or how about your family?
Never been on a cruise, but I feel like I do pretty good on boats and jet skis and things like that. So I think I'll be all right. But cruise ship is something that's kind of on the list, and if I don't get to it, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I it was right before. I've only been on one myself, and it was right before we had kids. It was like the conversation with my wife and I are like, okay, this might be the last time you and I have a trip together for a while. So it was a toss up between a cruise in Japan. Cruise one somehow. I don't know why that still to this
oh
day.
my gosh, that
Yeah.
is a terrible decision.
I know.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. And so
Oh man,
I know.
wow, I'm not recovered yet. I'm sorry. You skipped Japan.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Okay.
did. I
Okay.
think what ended up being it was like just slightly more than what we wanted to go like
Yeah,
spend
sure,
because it's
sure.
literally across the entire world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we opted for the cheaper route.
Yeah.
And I would say for me personally, the motion sickness, I didn't have to take anything.
Mm.
Scott, the only thing I had to look out for, I'm like you, like I've been on stuff and I'm like, I'm probably good. I had to be careful when we were eating dinner and like you just look, I was the only person that could look at the ocean while we're eating because I'm the only one that could handle like the big, everyone else had to like be looking into the inside of that dining hall because they just couldn't handle it. And I will admit a couple of times with the seas are rolling, a couple of times I was like, boy, this is kind of rough trying to eat, watching this go up and down. So, speaking of also ups and downs, the Cardinals
Wow.
are just going ups and downs recently. I would say this past week, we went 5-1 since last time we recorded. And I think my vibe check, I'll just go first,
Sure.
is taking care of business. We've got to do this. We had to do this. We said this at the end of last podcast. We have got to take care of business against these teams that are, I mean, this is what we got to do. Right. So Scott, what's your vibe check? This 5-1 this past week. What are you thinking?
They keep us coming back. After that sweep and that series of the Brewers, it was,
Mm-hmm.
we're done. Let's do full sell off and do it now. And then taking care of business is definitely how I put this White Sox series for sure.
Matt?
Yeah, the Pope's White Sox eat it. My vibe check is It's the background of summer. I'm back stateside. Well, I guess I never was not stateside. You know what I mean? I'm back continental stateside. I'm here. I'm starting to, as a teacher, I'm starting to get my rhythm of the summer. And I just like, we spend a lot of time analyzing and thinking and like, what's this team going to be and what's this team going to do? And it's an exciting year to do that because there's so many, we don't know for sure how this is going to work out. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of balls in the air. But then this past week, and granted, the winning helped, but I was like, okay, this is just summer. This is baseball. You take a step back, it's just on in the background. You're always kind of paying attention to it off on the side. So that's really where I'm at. I'm just letting the boys of summer be the boys of summer and not trying to get too wrapped up into the highs and the lows.
Was it a Game of Thrones reference with the Boys of Summer? You remember that?
The Knights of Summer?
Yeah.
Oh man, we've hit Andor, we've hit Game of Thrones. What other major properties can we hit here? We're cooking already.
Well, I guess Scott and I could talk Harry Potter for a while if we want.
There we go. Count me in there.
So last time we recorded, we were looking a little bleak with 2 losses to the Brewers. So we were all feeling a little glum about the next 2 games, but we did come back and gave 3 of that Brewers that recap this series on last Saturday. Palante gave up 3 over 4 and a third, but the offense turned it on by We Are the Gorm, Nolan Gorman, 3-run shot there.
Off a lefty, no less.
Got a little chippy action. Was that the Rice Hoskins, Wilson Contreras, Willie was getting? Was that the next game that they were getting chippy? Which one was that, guys? Remind me.
That was the Saturday night game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, where there's a little bit of basically come say it to my face and don't sit in the dugout and chirp at me a little bit.
Wilson Contreras has to be on the all MLB team for you don't want to meet that guy at a back alley. Like he is just going to take Reese Hoskins. I'm sure he's a tough guy, but Willie is just another level of like, you don't want to mess with him. And I heard this just real quick on Katie Wu's podcast. Shout out to her. But like, I forget what game it was that he gave that interview where he just dropped the F-bomb live in the interview. And I guess they had the feed of that in the clubhouse and the guys were watching it and he did that and they just erupted like, I cannot believe. So like Willie literally just does not care.
He does not
and I'm
care.
here to tell you, I hated him as a Cub. I am willing to die for him as a Cardinal. He's that kind of guy. He really is.
Yes. For sure. Like I said in a previous pod, I have probably opened my heart to Willie rather than him being the Yachty replacement in my heart. Like I actually gave him a chance and I understand why you and Jonathan were really all big about him because he's fun. A lot of
part of the team.
there.
Yes. Emotional center of the team. You like to see it.
100%. So tough one after this. This is a woulda, coulda, shoulda on game 4 here. Michaelis is pretty sharp, honestly, 7 Ks over 6, but the offense just couldn't quite do it in the 9th. So we lose the series 1-3. So we go see the Pope's White Sox. And did you guys see that video of him like chanting there? I think he was going somewhere and they were just chanting White Sox at him. So that's pretty special to see that. But we sweep them, right? So if you miss any of those games, let's go over those. Game 1, Libby has a good bounce back game because he has been on my radar, someone to watch with maybe a lingering issue, like injury issue. He only gets
helps
up
to face a AAA lineup. That helps on the bounce back, you know.
It does. I mean, confidence is a lot. 2 runs over 6, and the offense showed up. The attack dogs came out to play. They were probably a little angry about the last series, I bet. 12-2. Fetty, game 2 with another good strong start, and Matz gets tagged out of the bullpen. Offense grabs the lead late, and thank God that Hell's Bells locked it down for us in game 2. That has been a scary. He's Izzy situation for me right now. Just put that right there. He's scaring me.
Yeah.
Game 3, Burley. Right. Jonathan in our text thread was, like, who is this? What is this Burley action going on? 3-run dinger, back to back with Nolan. McGreevy, another good 5 innings. Bullpen blows that lead, but Nolan and Newt combined to get us out of the 10th inning. So we sweep them. That's always a good feeling. And then yesterday, the Reds, we played them. Just another pitcher. This is something I was going to highlight later in the episode, but I want to go ahead and just maybe play my cards now. Palante, Fetty, Libby. are the three pitchers that must produce, especially against this Cubs series coming up, for us to have a chance. So I know we usually say what to watch for at the end of the pod. I'm going to bring it in right now because those are my three guys that I'm watching: Libby, Fetty, Palante. They did it against the Reds and the White Sox. We've got to have them do it against the Cubs, or it's going to be a bad series, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Scott, go ahead.
this Cubs series is gaining more and more energy each day, especially with the Cubs playing the Brewers right now, and as as tight as those games are going to be, going from 7 games to now 4.5. I actually had Cubs Twitter coming at me a week ago or so with a guy from CHGO, Cody Del Mendo or something, tagging me saying how the Cubs are the better team and things like that. But I can't wait for this upcoming series, but I'm also dreading it at the same time.
Yeah, I'm a little worried there's going to be more blue in the stands than red at Busch. Honestly, the Cubs travel pretty well anyway. And I do think that Cardinals fans will show up for that series, but I'm a little worried that if the Cubs take a lead, it's just going to sound like Wrigley in there.
Mhm.
For sure. Yeah. So those guys have got to be rock solid for us. And I think that it speaks, it's going to be a playoff situation, right? Like atmosphere inside Busch. And those guys, if this Cardinals team, whatever this Cardinals team ends up being this year, whether that we are truly going to just lapse into the 500 ball or we're going to somehow be in the playoff contention, I think this kind of shows what the Cardinals team is made of. So these three pitchers have got to do it. Sonny has been doing it this year, but those three plus McGreevy, we got to see what's happening here. So let's get on to the themes of this week and off the end of the episode and on to the meat. We are the Gorm. Has Nolan Gorman, guys, earned a longer look? We talked about this earlier this year, and we kind of wrote him off. And I was talking right before we started with Scott that I'm glad that I don't have to make these decisions. And there's apparently some pretty intelligent human beings. So hats off to the guru. That these guys probably have some stat lines and some things they're looking at that they're seeing that perhaps the average, especially me as a casual fan, don't see. So Matt, let's start with you first. Has We Are the Gore earned more of a longer look, a longer runway?
Well, for most of the week, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this in light of Ivan Herrera being in the lineup every day. Now, for the next 2 to 6 weeks, he's got a hamstring issue. And okay, I'm just going to take a real quick side road, real quick. Ivan Herrera's injury history, I hope this is not like a Tyler O'Neill kind of situation or something like that, because the guy is really basically just DHing every day. And I realize huffing it around the bases, you could easily pull a hamstring. That's not like some kind of crazy thing. But I hope that he's not like an injury bug kind of bitten guy. So as far as should Gorman play more, I am going to shout him out because in his last 15 games, his triple slash line is 286, 375, 571. His Ks are down. His walks are up. The things that we have been saying on this podcast for as long as we've had it, and that Cardinals fans, from the moment they started watching Gorman, he's starting to do some of those things. And I think that we can kind of track that progress in the season. I think this is 100% a Guru Brownie situation here, but he's not chasing as much. He's not swinging quite as hard. And I think he was not getting a lot of that high velocity, exit velocity contact that we're used to seeing from him. But it's almost like he's starting to hone in on what pitches he should be swinging at, and his pitch recognition is better. And now some of that power is starting to come back. I mean, 286, 375, 571, that's just flat out all-star starter level production. Granted, it's 15 games, but this is exciting to see from him because when he looks lost, he looks so lost. And so to see I think we're seeing real improvement from him during the season. So yeah, I think you have to ride him right now. Scott, what are you feeling on that?
I agree with that, especially when you look into those last 15 games like you're talking about. He's also drawn 8 walks, so it's not like he's chasing everything like we kind of been accustomed to seeing that. But I do think he deserves a runway. It's just for who, like
Yeah.
who sits, and that's a discussion that comes every day where every single lineup that Marmol puts out is critiqued right or wrong. And there's that's part of being on Twitter is every time the Cardinals post a lineup, there's a conversation about who's doing this and why is this happening. And that's just a decision that Marmol has to make every single game to try to commit to the young guys. Like Walker's not playing today. Does that mean we're not committing to Walker anymore? It's like, oh no, there's other things going into that. So we want to try to see Gorman in this runway opportunity while also picking the matchups with, does he get to hit against lefties? Do we have to see what he can do against left-handed pitchers? But at the same time, does that move Donovan from his, which, by the way, not being a second base all-star at this point, Brendan Donovan,
Mm.
go out and get those votes up. Nico Horner being in Chicago, he does not deserve it over Brendan Donovan. So, but does that move Donovan to more of an outfield role? Which again, there's just so much shuffling that has to be done that long-winded way of saying Gorman does deserve it. It's just how is he going to get it?
Yeah,
I
I'm
do
really
think we should go ahead. Go ahead, Andy.
well. I'm just glad that Scott brought up real quick the All Star voting. So get out there and vote at MLB.com/All-Star. It's just you can vote 5 times on an email address. Just want to plug that for the listener. Get out there and do it. Yeah, Donnie should be an All-Star, 100%.
Cardinals need to cut Andy a check for that. That was a nice little in podcast ad read. I love it. I think we should take a moment here, just within this larger Gorman conversation in context, and just shout Donnie out. Not to invoke a Cub here, but Donnie being basically our Ben Zobrist, and I, I don't think it's too far away from saying that like this may be pretty close to Donovan's peak, and if he can hold this is really not too far away from some of those Ben Zobrist seasons. But when you can plug Donovan in at second base, at left field, they don't do it much, but I would assume you could plug him in at right field. He could at third base. He can stand at shortstop, creditably. You don't want him doing that forever. But that to me is such a huge part of the Cardinals' success, because when you really drill down into this conversation, we have one too many position players that can kind of hit. Like Burley can hit, and Herrera can hit, and Walker you have to see, and Gorman has earned some time here, and you need to stick with Newton, you need to see Vic, and you need to see Wint, right? We have all these guys. So if you're playing this right, and if you got this like carousel of rotating individuals, I really kind of like this, honestly, because you can get Win a day off, you can get Newt a day off, right? I think there's a way, if you've got 8 position players and you really have 9 guys that need to play, I think there's a way that you can pretty much have 9 position players in the lineup playing every day, maybe even close to 10 because of the DH, and that's really how this should work. Now, Herrera being on the injured list is going to open up really some real runway here. And what's going to be hard is if Gorman does well during this stint, they're going to put Herrera back in at DH. Mm-hmm. It's going to make that, even tighter in terms of the roster construction. But I don't think this is bad. I think this is good. Let's rotate this around. Arenado probably needs some more days off. Let's get him to the bench some more,
Yeah, and just to put it in context of how well Nolan's been hitting in June is the split that I took. The 273 average, the on-base percentage at 385, and the on-base plus slugging at 930. There is only one person, if you go to the All-Star voting, there's only one guy who is got an on-base percentage higher than him, and it's barely, as Ketel Marte. Sorry if I butchered that first name, but he's at first in the All-Star voting. So that just right there, listener, that's all you need to know. The only person barely beating Nolan right now is the league leader for the All-Star game. So that's how well he's hitting right now. There's a couple of advanced stats that it was interesting to look at to back up. I believe, Matt, you said his K rate, stuff like that. If you go to the StatsCast Baseball Savant page and you go to the 2025 split and look at the year over year, his K rate for this year is down almost 10. Okay. So yes. So there is statistics right there to prove that, yes, Matt, you have a leg to stand on. He is striking out less. Now, is he striking out above league average? Yada, yada, yada. We need some more time of him hitting how he is right now to see this. But his walk rate is up this year versus year over year. It's up 5%. So his exit velocity is down a little bit. But the first pitch swing, Brownie, the guru's just got to be doing something in there, because his first pitch swinging is down 12%. So someone's preaching patience to this guy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's showing up in the coaching. You don't go down 12% on first pitch swinging without a coach going over the tape and saying, hey man, we need to be doing this. Like, that is a targeted metric. That is something that, this is his game plan. This is what I need you to do. So there are certainly numbers in here that are saying, okay, this is not just like small deviations of what he normally does. This is a large, 10% down, 12% down. Those are numbers of, there's a coach helping out Nolan. Scott, you have anything about that? I saw you nodding about the baseball savant stuff. I'm assuming you have looked at that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the way that Baseball Savant kind of lays everything out in that color-coded way and all that stuff. But I mean, he's showing that he can be selective when he needs to, but what is, intriguing as well as his chase percentage that goes along with that first pitch swing. It's not like he's trying to do damage on every single swing, where in the past maybe he knows he's got a short leash, so he's got to, kind of sell out and try to hit the big homer. Where this year he's taken that approach and making those adjustments. It's been good to see, and I think he's still got the potential to become that everyday infielder.
Yeah, with as healthy as this team has been, and I just talked about the carousel of the 9 to 10 position players, and Jose Abreu, sorry, you go back to your room. You're really just not going to play much. You're there for break glass in case of emergency. And Joel Pozo, sorry, buddy, same thing for you. But we've been so healthy this year, minus Herrera, right? And if you're constructing a roster in your Mo or in the future your Heim, I kind of think this is the perfect thing of what you want. The Cardinals, as we have discussed on multiple podcasts, they're missing the capital G guy, but man, they have like really good support pieces and role players all up and down the lineup. And that to me is like this kind of the secret sauce of the success of this team, because you can really field on a daily basis basically 9 above average major league hitters all the way up and down your order. If 3 of them are in a funk, you still have an opportunity to score, right? We're scoring a lot of runs without a lot of home run strike in this lineup because of this. And so, like, grand scheme of things, yeah, I think there's going to be moments and times when Gorman gets squeezed or Burley gets squeezed, or it's a little bit of, you're in a slump, we're going to sit you for a couple days, right? There's going to be some of that. But I really think as a roster construction thing, you've got depth, you've got backup. If somebody goes on the IL, your team's not just, screwed out of proportion. I kind of think this is good. But right now, I really do think that they need to prioritize Gorman in there, even though like his second base defense lately has looked like maybe me trying to play second base defense. And really Donovan is the guy that should be there. But I think if he's going to show this development, he's 25 years old still. He is a key power piece for this lineup. And so if he's going to turn the corner here, let's turn it with him.
Can we build that even further into now this runway with Herrera being out potentially up to 6 weeks with Sagasi being up?
Yeah.
What does that do to the lineup? Does Weatherholt get promoted even more aggressively to fill into AAA? Like you're saying, there's these potential depth pieces, and is that a good problem to have at this point? I think so. But at some point, you're going to have to make a decision, especially at the catcher position, at the infield
Yeah.
position.
Yeah.
While you got to try to find those areas of need too, which, the outfield looks like it could be coming into something that they need to discuss further from those areas of depth. So I mean, Sagasi is up and he's shown he can hit. So what does he do now too? It's again, that's been a healthy team, which is great. But it just clogs the opportunities for others.
I think the secret, yes, Trade Nolan is that's true. I'm telling you right now, ain't nobody gonna want him though. So that's gonna be a tough move. I think there's a secret to this Cardinals franchise. I think the secret is our best leadoff hitter plays for the Springfield Cardinals right now. I really think if they brought JJ Weatherholt up and they plugged him in the leadoff spot, I think he is perfect for that. Like he's running above a 400 OBP in AA. I think I really think that guy is ready. I was going to say this about Gorman though, and this is more of like a kind of a big picture philosophical thing. I think that Gorman he's in a lot of ways, he kind of mirrors this Cardinals team this year in that there is a wide variance. So if you've looked at the Cardinals so far, they started out 10-15, then they got super hot and were incredible. And then lately, okay, so last week was 5-1. That was good. But if you take the 15 games before that, they were not very good again. And so there's a lot of roller coaster up and down. And to Scott's point earlier about his vibe check being they keep you coming back, I do think that's an exciting brand of baseball. They score, they're athletic, they make good plays, the defense is crisp, right? That kind of reminds me in some ways of what Gorman does, because although I would argue the downs of Gorman are worse than the downs for the franchise, he just looks so pitiful. The ups, it's just he still is an exciting guy, and we don't know where he's going to find his level at. Just like in the same way, I don't think we know where this team is going to level at. So in a lot of ways, I really kind of think Nolan Gorman is like the franchise as a whole. Is that crazy? Is that too far?
No, I mean, it makes sense. There's got to be players that mimic what the Cardinals are doing this year. You don't go on a hot streak with a bunch of cold players, and you don't go on a losing streak with a bunch of hot players most of the time. I think 100% it is the pulse of the team is these guys that we're highlighting, because when Newt would be another one. That's another thing that I have of what to watch for. I wanted to swing back around at the end of the Guardians series and see how is Newt doing, because it's stuff like that 100%. The guys are dictating this hot streak, cold streak business, and it is exciting. It is exciting for sure. I agree. I want to echo Matt's point. Just continue on to plug to any of those casuals listeners is watch it, because it is truly exciting. It is, the offense is exciting enough to be like, okay, well, we could put up 5 runs right here. That's not out of the realm of impossible with this team.
Yeah.
And that's really, truly fun, because it feels so debilitating whenever it's like you maybe come into the game and it's 6-2. Years prior, it'd been like, well, yeah, we're done. This year, it feels like, well, I don't know, could be crazy. So Scott, what about you? What are you thinking about? Does Nolan represent perhaps what the team is doing as a whole?
I think so. I mean, the starting pitching, you know what you're going to get at this point. They've kind of shown exactly what it's going to be. I mean, there's not a super high ceiling, but the floor isn't anything miserable. It truly is the offense that is driving the streaks. And, when they're struggling with runners in scoring position or to do things like that, like that's the frustrating feeling from the fans. And it goes with the guys like Nolan, and I would probably say Newt is starting to fall into that Cardinal wave because of how hot he started, and then that last miserable stretch he's kind of been on is coinciding with where they're currently at. So I think those two guys kind of match the vibe of the organization's season so far.
For sure.
We've talked about this with Gorman. I think Gorman, of these runway guys, which, can we just agree for future seasons, we're never going to use this term again. Like it's just overused so bad. This is it. We're going to do it this year and then not. He's the one with the shortest runway. And so he needed to do this. If he kept batting 205 and striking out all the time, we have seen more of that from him than we have from Walker and some of these other guys. He is saving his career right here as a St. Louis Cardinal. And I think we can all hope that he finds one of those higher levels, because we've seen it. When the guy makes contact, he's got a sweet swing and it goes 430 feet. That's beautiful. But he's got to continue to do this and improve and perform. And, credit to him. At this moment right now, he's doing it, and he's buying himself at bats.
He absolutely is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's transition over to that pitching that Scott kind of mentioned. Is the bullpen situation? Are we happy? Is this working? Are we getting quality? Scott, what do you have any thoughts about the bullpen?
It's like the Cardinals, you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, even when they get to Helsley after solid lockdown innings from Leahy and Maton, then Helsley struggles. But then if somebody like JoJo comes up and gives up 2 runs, you're like, oh, it's okay. And then they score 2 runs to kind of hide JoJo's struggles or things like that. I'm most concerned about Leahy at this moment. It's been struggling for a little bit longer than kind of, maybe it's a little blip where he could have been, overused at the beginning of the year. But I think that the shuttle needs to be revamped a little bit, and maybe someone like John King could start riding that thing as well. But I'll pass it along to see where we go before we kind of jump into that one.
Would you guys characterize? So I wrote down some shuttle guys. Actually, you know what? I wrote down like a line about each guys. See if you guys just agree with this in total. Steven Matz, pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. Pretty good results. Not too bad. Underlying metrics, pretty good. Phil Maton, very good results, strikeout stuff. I really think Phil Maton, even though he looks like a no emotion sociopath serial killer out there, I think he's probably the most reliable guy that we've had just for the entire season. I agree with Scott. Leahy's concerningly coming back to earth. JoJo's had pretty good results, but his underlying stuff is kind of makes me nervous. And John King, I don't know what the fixation on having. Yeah, Scott, you're shaking your head. No, say something more about John King. It's driving you crazy.
I just keep forgetting that he's on the team sometimes, and then he shows up at an opportunity when he shouldn't because of other people being overused.
Yeah.
And it's just that he's a lefty, and there's really nobody ready to be able to take that spot. And that's where I've kind of been the shout out to Andre Granillo that he could
Yeah.
be your John King replacement. Which shout out to Granillo for what a win and a save and a strikeout, first major league stats in the same
Yeah.
day.
All on the same day. That's amazing.
And that's someone I just want to find a way to get John. I don't want him off the team. I just want him away for the time being.
He's like your classic bring him in if you're 6 runs up or 6 runs down. And if it's a close game and he comes in, you're like, oh, no. Like sometimes it's gonna be okay. He's gonna get through it. But then sometimes you're like, well, yeah, we knew Ollie, we knew this was going to happen. Okay, so do you guys agree? Are these the shuttle guys? Riley O'Brien, Matt Swanson, Chris Roycroft, Gordon Graceffo, and Andre Ganella. Is that the shuttle guys? Is that what you guys are thinking? And I guess Ryan Fernandez too, maybe?
Yeah, I was going to point to Fernandez, but he's still kind of struggling down in Memphis. But I'd add Roddery Munoz to that because they've done that as well, up and down with him. But it gets less and less exciting the more names you add on to it.
Yeah, right. I mean, how many was that there? Like is seven? Is that how many we had?
Yeah,
Yeah.
six, seven guys. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's hard to keep like truly as a casual fan, I'll be honest. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't know who these guys are. Like I feel like that happens a lot with a lot of bullpens. But with this for sure happening, like I had to have Matt and Jonathan explain what was happening with a couple of moves that the Cardinals made. Like what actually just happened? Because I don't know. Did we release this guy? Did we not? Like the nitty gritty of that is sometimes the minutia is overwhelming of like what's happening in baseball. I just want to highlight one dude. We call him Rob Riley O'Brien.
Oh my God, I love Rob.
Rob is fun. Jonathan just texted one day, just like, what did he say, Matt? Something like, "My God,
He said
turn on the
Rob's throwing
TV."
frisbees. Get to the TV.
Yeah.
Yes, and he
Yeah.
does. He does. There's
Yeah.
so much movement on his pitches. It's insane.
Yeah, so I definitely like to watch him. So we need to keep him around just so I can have Jonathan talk me about frisbees and get to the TV. So that's who I wanted to highlight. But I agree with you guys. It is disconcerting as a casual fan to look at the bullpen and not be like Scott, where Scott's like, I forgot this guy was on his team. There are multiple people. I'm like, who is this? And that kind of scares me, like there's not consistency there. There's not like a name that I can kind of recognition to. If you're following the Cardinals closely, ins and outs, what they're doing. But like the casual fans, when these guys come in and you're like, how do you pronounce that last name?
Mhm.
That's a bit problematic for me personally.
Yeah, I had Riley O'Brien as my preseason Ryan Fernandez type breakout this
Yeah,
year. I was that excited about him, but the last time I was on with you guys, I talked about how I was going to go to that blogger day where we got to
Yes.
talk to John
yeah,
Mozeliak, and I just wanted to touch on that with this bullpen part is
sure.
that he was kind of talking about one of the questions was how is he managing the roster and things like that, and he mentioned to how in years past, you'd look down in Memphis and be like, oh, I got really nothing else. You kind of just have to ride with who you have. Where he thought that this year there were answers down in Memphis to where, even though it is this constant cycle, the guys are replacement level enough of one another that it's not a major drop off. That he said that was a strength of the team that you can actually, constantly send down a Roycroft and get a Swanson, who then you send down to get a Granillo and keep that shuttle going. And he pointed to that as a strength, which I thought was very interesting without having that kind of lockdown bullpen.
I love this. I'm not sure it's always going to produce the best results, but I don't have to start saying the names. for Cardinals fans to know that when we sign like bullpen experts or aces out of the bullpen, it does not usually work out very well. So I don't like that way of doing it. I like exactly this way. And I expect in the future, I expect this to be a specialty of Heim Bloom's and his team, that you find these guys and you stock your minor league system. I think this is such a smart way to do it. You take these guys who are cheap, they're expendable, you can bring them up and down. Their options don't matter. If they were to go on waivers and get picked up, it's not going to hamper your franchise in some major way. And you see what happens, right? Last year, we brought Brian Fernandez, and he was just blowing everybody away and like pitched the eighth inning in a crowded bullpen sometimes, and he turned out to be really good. Well, he was horrendous this year. They sent him back down to Memphis. Let's get the shuttle going, right? I will also shout out Rob, because this is a huge pro Rob podcast for Riley O'Brien. He's performed very well in his latest stint up here. So I think this is exactly, if I'm a fan, and, sorry to Andy always shouting out the casual fans, I don't care if they know him or not. If you can ride these guys up and down like this and you can get some production, and sometimes one of these guys is going to stick, this is exactly what I want them to do with the bullpen. I do not want them to spend $35 million on the bullpen. I don't want us to sign Helsley in the offseason, because I think he's already on the decline. And that is just a level of money that we don't need to invest in that position in this team. I love the train ride up and down Memphis.
I can
Scott, is that you too? Like, is that how you feel about it?
Yeah, and I like the discussion of being Helsley being a trade piece as well. Like, there's no need to bring him back. Let's see what you got. I mean, if you have all these arms and they've been high on potentially because someone like Graceffo being a closer, like, hey, let's see what happens. But the way that they use the bullpen with guys going multiple days in a row or multiple innings, it makes sense to be able to send them down and say, hey, we'll see you. Thanks for your
Yeah.
work. We'll see
Yeah.
you again in a couple weeks, but just keep doing what you're doing. It's nothing against you. And that keeps a positive vibe with them as well. Like, hey, I know I just perform and I'll be back. And, it's not this whole mental game. I think they understand that that's their role.
Look, Roycroft, we need you to eat 4 innings today. You're going to give up 7 runs, but we just need you to eat it, and we're going to send you back down. Thanks a lot, buddy, and we'll bring you back up. I agree.
Cash that major league per diem and get that
Yeah.
starting time. It works out for everybody.
Listen, I think the names in the minors that are able to be drawn from, I think it's growing here. Quinn Matthews is back. I'm not at all suggesting that we want to make him a bullpen piece, but if you needed to, and like a down a stretch run and you're close and you feel okay about that, Takeo Roby, Tink Hence is back pitching. So like some of our big names in the minors are starting to get healthy here. And I also kind of wonder, I know this is about the bullpen and we don't need to go too far down this road. I wonder if they're going to be a little more active getting McGreevy up, because they've expressed concerns about McGreevy really being the only guy ready to start. Matthews has been super hot since he's been back. Roby torched AA. I just wonder if that's going to kind of open up some more opportunities for McGreevy here.
Shout out to Double A first throwing the combined
Yeah, I
here
was
last
just about
night
to point
with
that out.
Tink Hence. Tink Hence is back. I'm gonna keep jumping up in the Tink Hence train, but yeah, McGreevy, I think they said he's gonna be starting Tuesday in Chicago, I think already.
Yes.
So yeah, they had to figure something out to keep that minor league depth, as they say, is so important, ready to go. And Takeo Roby has been exciting to see that progression. Even though he struggled a little bit, I like to see the aggressive promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt and Scott, let me put you guys on the spot here. Is there, with this up and down, I'm glad that Matt, you kind of illustrated why you like that as a pro of that, the shuttle train going back and forth. Is there a limit, or like I said, I have the minutia of these options is lost on me. Is there a con to having these guys go up and down? Like, is there like a limit? Like, you can only bring them up so many times, or like, can you guys walk me through some of perhaps the sticking points of what's happening if we continue to do that?
Yeah, so you have like how many times you can get optioned during your contract, and I believe it's three seasons that you can be optioned. And then so if they were to option, say, John King down this year, that counts as an option season. And he can be sent up and down, I think, 5 times maximum this year. A con though is if you send somebody down, they have to stay down for 2 weeks. So
Okay.
it's not like you can just send them down for a day or two and then call them back up. So the con is you're not going to see him for a while when you option them.
Scott, you can correct me here. if you think something differently. I think the first franchise that I noticed doing this kind of stuff was the Dodgers. Was kind of I don't know where the Dodgers AAA franchise was, but I just saw all these like 10-day DL stints for these Dodgers pitchers, and then up and down, up and down. And they changed some rules around the DL stuff because the
Mhm.
Dodgers were doing that so much to keep their pitchers fresh. But I'm here to tell you, if the Dodgers are doing it, I want to copy it. And
Yeah.
so, Andy, to your point, it depends on your years of service. Like we can't
Okay.
yank Helsley up and down anymore. But if you're in that first 3 years of service, I mean, 5 times up and down with a 2 week break is essentially unlimited times during the season. You know what I mean? And so there's really no, as long as the player's psyche is okay and you're not just ruining his confidence, there's no like organizational impediment for you to go up and down with some of these guys. Now, as they get a little older, there is, but I just think that's where hopefully you've got the next stable of young, I hate to put it this way, just young expendable arms to bring up and down and see what they got coming. And I think that Bloom's minor league system will churn those guys out. I really do.
So quick follow-up question.
Yeah.
Do these guys have to then, how does the 40-man roster work with that? Go either one. I don't care. Someone explain that
Scott,
to me.
take your 10-page Excel spreadsheet and tell us how the 40-man works.
So 40-man roster guys are basically people that can be added up and down to your active roster at any point. But they're just not on your 26-man roster. So you have a certain number of 40-man roster spots, which are basically the guys that can ride those shuttles.
Okay.
Now, someone like Ryan Vilade was given a 40-man roster spot so that he could go up and down with the Cardinals. But because he had exhausted his options or there's something in his contract, they DFA'd him, which took him off the 40-man roster, which then opened up an opportunity for Andre Granillo to take that spot. So then now that Granillo is on the 40-man roster, he's able to come up to the 26-man
So
roster.
this bullpen going up and down, you do have to be on the 40-man roster in order to, like, we can't. Yeah. Okay. I
They
just want to
can't,
make
to
sure.
illustrate this, they can't just go get Quinn Matthews and have him start. Scott, is he? I don't think he's on the 40-man roster yet.
No, I believe he was a non-roster invitee this year.
Yeah. So he's not on the 40-man roster. So what they would need to do is that
Kick
I
someone
believe right
off.
now that 40-man roster is full. You'd have to kick somebody off. And usually what that happens is like, say, Luke and Baker were removing you from the 40-man roster for Quinn Matthews. Well, another team would be able to claim Luke and Baker.
Okay.
So
Well, that,
you kind of have to, in addition to managing your major league roster, you kind of have to watch the timelines of some of these guys. We can't just go grab Tink Hints because we want to. There's moves that have to be made in order to do that.
okay. I do appreciate that, because I was like, it sounds like at that point, then why is no one just using the minor leagues as like the
Yeah,
bullpen stretch? So there is a
that's why these
limitation.
rules are in place. Yes, yes.
Okay. All
If
right.
you're
Well,
smart though, you can still, you
yeah.
can still do a lot of this. You just have to be smart about your roster construction. Yeah, a
So it's kind of like practice squad on NFL versus, yeah. Okay.
little bit.
I, I'm
Yeah.
with you. All right. Well, I appreciate that. And hopefully if anybody else is helped by that, you're welcome for those questions.
The listeners just fell asleep at the wheel and had a car accident
I don't
in
know.
a
I
tree.
mean,
This is
some
my
people.
last time being invited back on here. Sorry,
Well, I
it's
asked the
been real.
question. I didn't understand it. All right. I've already kind of played my cards about what I'm specifically
Sure.
looking for with the upcoming series. Big one coming up at home against the Cubbies. Scott, what are we looking for as a near Chicago native? What are you looking for this week against the Cubbies?
I'm not looking forward to it, number one. Because like I said the last time, my daughter now has a Pete Crow Armstrong jersey that I have to
Mm,
contract with the Lars Nootbaar jersey. So that's a constant battle.
I'm
Uh,
calling
but
DCFS on that. That is
right. But what I'm kind of looking to, it's not just related to that series, is Victor Scott.
yeah.
yeah.
I I'm thinking about getting into a little bit more of that if he is someone who needs this runway so much for his career right now.
Mm,
Is he just kind of helped by not having somebody available to play center field? He's been
mm,
struggling for a long time now, hitting under 200 in his last 30 games, striking out a lot. I mean, he's struck out twice, I think, in the last two games.
Mm,
That's just somebody that doesn't seem like he's got a lot of confidence right at the plate right now.
mm.
That he's hit a homer, but it was against a position player. So someone like Vic, I think is going to be my story to watch here in the next week or so.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching Jordan Walker. He seemed to have been making some strides before this wrist injury. And I'll be honest, I haven't read exactly what caused or how that wrist injury came to be, but that's a tricky thing for a hitter to deal with. And I don't know how that's feeling for him. And that's really too bad because he really seems to be kind of snake bit. Do you guys remember that spring training year? He was just murdering the ball all over the place. And then they had that collision in the outfield. And so, like, this is another one of those inflection points for him. We were starting to kind of see it with him. He was starting to produce, and it was like, oh no, there's our little baby. Let's protect him. And it was more when he came to the plate, you're like, oh shoot, this something good is going to happen here. And I just hope that he can get back to that as quickly as we can, because, just to tie a bow on this whole thing, this roster crunch that Gorman is suffering from, a lot of it has to do with Jordan Walker. And if he's not producing, they're going to run him out there. And so as quick as we can get him back to seeing some of these improvements and things, not just for the franchise, but if we're going to hang around this year, which I certainly wouldn't mind, Jordan Walker needs to get back at it.
Yeah, 100%. Anything, the Guardians, anything that you guys are looking for in that series, the way, we are needing to play more ball. We're going to get back into the heat of June here. We need to be showing what this season is going to be. Is this the streaky Cardinal? Is this the year of the streaky? Or that's kind of, I said earlier in the pod that I wanted to check back in on Newt. That's something Jonathan highlighted last week. So that's personally, I've been kind of watching his stat lines of what is up with Newt. We need to have the Newt loose for this to be a playoff winning team.
The Guardians to me are like, they're 500. And they don't score much, but they don't allow many runs. So they're kind of like the Cardinals teams of the last few years, sort of anemic offense, pretty good pitching. And I'm just going to watch that series and be thankful that though we're not much above 500, we score. And that is just a more fun brand of baseball to watch. So that's what I'll be watching in that series.
Yeah, I think this has just been a fun stretch of games, all against central opponents. We've seen the Cubs, and when you look at the schedule, I was just looking, I'm like perusing through. I'm like, we're only 3 weeks from the All-Star break. It seemed like this has been a grind of a season, but then you see that you're over the halfway point here coming soon. That we want to see where we're at that point, and then it comes into the fun trade talks once again.
Oh God, no one's looking forward to that. That'll be nonstop fun. Well, thanks guys for tuning in to the Redbird Rundown, your go-to source for St. Louis Cardinals news. Subscribe, rate, and review the show to help us grow. Follow us on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Facebook for the latest news. Always keep those rally caps on, and let's go Cards!